Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Today we are diving deep into a powerful address delivered by Burkina Faso's Minister of State, Bassel Mabazi. He was speaking in Niamey, Niger, during a major Pan-African gathering held to mark the third anniversary of Niger's sovereignty movement. In his speech, Minister Bazi delivered a direct message on behalf of the Alliance of Sahel states, breaking down what he calls the true victories of resistance, the reality of diplomatic pressure, and why the fight for African identity is not optional. Let's break down the key points of what Bassel Bazier had to say. Minister Bazier began by reflecting on the 3-year mark of Niger's stand for independence. He reminded the audience that 3 years ago, foreign analysts and imperial powers predicted that Niger would not live for 2 weeks. They imposed blockades, threatened military intervention, and placed bounties on the leaders of the Sahel. According to him, the fact that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are still standing and that their heads of states remain alive and leading is the very first major victory for the region. He highlighted the second victory as the unbreakable unity within the Alliance of Sahel states. Bazier recalled how Burkina Faso and Mali issued a joint statement warning that any military attack on Niger will be treated as an immediate declaration of war against all three nations. He emphasized that the AES does not rely on foreign standby forces. They have active forces operating on the ground as one people with one shared destiny.
Today, 26 July 2026, which marks the third year, where the brotherly people of the Niger are standing facing their history. In the face of its responsibilities, in the face of his duties, and when we hear someone say that for 3 years, what assessment we can make on First assessment we can make is to say, thank God to our ancestors. Our 3 heads of state, of which the heads have been put at a price, in salons, inhabited by vampires around the world. They are alive. It is already the first victory. The second victory. You knew how to say it. I congratulate the panelist brothers that preceded me by those who don't like the sovereignty I don't speak. Of those who are of skin, there are even among us brothers who have their brains painted white. They are of black complexion, but the brain is in white. They predicted that Niger would not last more than 2 weeks. Today, Niger holds. It is also a great victory. Third victory. Mali and Burkina have signed a communique to the world, saying that Singapore would attack Niger, that he considers made a declaration of war in Burkina and Mali. Today, if we don't have a war, I was going to say don't send his strength, who shouted through some presidents, saying that they would deploy their forces on standby at the Ars. We have no forces on hold. We have forces in action. And these forces in action beyond the unified force. It is precisely necessary to go and report to the EMU. We said when we say force in action, I think it is precisely the 20. I was in Bobo when our brother Minister of Commerce contacted me and said that his brother from Niger needs me to take part in a panel, and that His Excellency the General of the Chani Army, President of the Republic of Niger, has given its agreement. I told him that unless his brother decided otherwise, and Comrade Ibrahim Traoré, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and by bike me, I'm going to go to the Niger. It's a way to show the world that we live across borders. We have no borders when we say the confederal space. It is a space of people, a destiny when something happens. In Niamey, consider that the same thing is experienced. In Ouagadougou and Bamako, it's like that. We must act. And from this point of view, the question of sovereignty, the fight for sovereignty should be a choice. If a Nigerian, a Burkinabe, a Malian had just said that fighting to keep his soul, his identity is a choice, is that you are not a life, because I said there are two ways to die. The holy, and perhaps the way, the craziest, is to be buried underground. But when a human being lives, it moves, it eats, he drinks, and he is not able to defend his identity, his soul. He is no longer a human being, he is not alive. Because IT, which characterizes the human being, it is the possession of your identity. It is the possession of your soul. Precisely those who have an interest in us not being paid. They act first of all on this fundamental picture, which is to make sure that we are not ourselves. It is the weapon, it is the most fatal and the most destructive weapon. By making Africans live without their souls. Precisely His Excellence through TV yesterday took examples. When someone says the same and is not able to embody the defined African values. In the Charter of Kurukugo of 1236, and who responds only with other injunctions, coming from elsewhere by simple nets that are drawn, I must admit that even I ask myself the question, if the earth will accept to receive the day of your death, because you embody everything but your parents' values. I say this because you see, it's on all levels. Becomes the responsibility of everyone, of us here to engage. The responsibility is committed, because these are not our brothers and sisters who wear the outfit. When we say that it criticizes in a point of Niamey, they are the ones who must deploy to progress towards death. And we are in our living rooms doing something else. It will be a shame to us, and from this point of view, our behavior in the morning to noon in the evening, the night before acting, before saying a word, before taking a position on a fact, you have to keep in mind that there is a brother, there is a sister who carries a gun, who wears an outfit that does not sleep, who is somewhere ready to bring down death in the name of the homeland. So when we have this in mind, you can't sit and cross your arms to say that a fight for sovereignty does not engage me. It commits others is that you are no longer alive, so it's a temperative C. We must not sing it, we have to live it. Why we have to live it? We have to live it because some moments you can be alone, and a concern can arise in front of you, where your responsibility must be assumed. I said that if the three presidents each at some point given is obliged to go out, facing a microphone and making threats, is that we have to ask ourselves the question, what do we do to accompany them in principle? It is no longer up to them to go out and threaten. They must have a clear head, sleep peacefully, and reflect on the plans and direction to take, to be able to advance those who must threaten, and those on which we must walk before reaching them. That's why we said one day a partner to talk about the diplomatic plan. When we say we want our diplomatic sovereignty, a partner requested a hearing. He came to me and went back to the office in principle. A visit request for a courtesy hearing. 10 minutes and 15 minutes is enough. But he came because he feels he has the skin naturally being. Since he is an ambassador of a country, of powerful between clause in time, he believes that Bassem Bazier, he is one of their local sub-prefects, that you have to come and threaten in your office. If you come and tell me that we wrote, for example, the booklet of the revolution, the manifesto of the revolution in Burkina, and you say that your leaders in your country have told you this part, and this part, and this part of this manifesto, it does not suit you. I say, Nguda, thank you for informing me, because like that there, if you come to tell me that the content of the manifesto, we betrayed the people, until the content of the manifesto, it is the whole of the aspirations of the Burkinabe we commit to implement, and if depend the aspirations of the people, Burkinabe is convenient. To the one who exploits the Burkinabe is that we betrayed the people. Et de ce point de vue, I'm even very glad it doesn't work for you now. He says good that when it doesn't suit them. It may happen that diplomatic relations are reviewed, tell funding there, and they can see it. I say so, this is the first time you listen to me. So I have already said that the direction we have EU to take. There if you don't like it. The borders are not closed. You pack your and leave. And I welcome the presence of all diplomats who are in the room to tell you that I am not addressing your personalities. As a human being, I address your souls to ensure that even when the first leaders of the countries call you in relation to a question, say that the fight that is being waged at the level of the OES in Niger, Burkina, and Mali, we are not against anyone. We are indicating that we are inhabited by savages at the economic level. Second level, you will notice why. I say that there are people who have black skin, but the brain is white. You saw on the web, we've been saying for 2000 and 2027, the CEDAW will bring out ECO. They will leave the CFA franc to go to ECO. I think we should stay quiet and serene. Because the three heads of state are in their laboratory, they will come out for a while with strong decisions. We say this because I took part. On top of him and me in Côte d'Ivoire and in a room, I was with the same me. I will talk to him as a little brother and him as a big brother. Because in Africa, if you want to tell the truth to someone across the street who is older than you, put your sights aside, call him big brother. So there was the current big brother excellence at the Ouattara room. There was Macky Sall. There was a ball, there was the Prime Minister Mamadou, which was there December to December 2022. There was the college, the person in charge of the LABCO government, and there was also the person in charge of LABOAD.
One of the most striking parts of Minister Bazie's speech was his breakdown of what sovereignty actually means to an African citizen. Bazie started firmly that fighting for your soul and identity is not a choice, it is absolute imperative. He explained that a person can die in two ways, either physical under the ground or spiritually, by living, eating, and drinking while completely surrendered their identity to foreign control. He criticized individuals who carry black skin but operate with mindset shaped entirely by external powers. Turning to civil responsibility, Bazie called on ordinary citizens to step up. He pointed out that soldiers on the front line are risking their lives daily in the heat and argued that citizens in their living rooms cannot afford to sit back passively. In his view, the population itself must act as a shield around the heads of states. He argues that the leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso should not have to spend their days issuing threats to foreign adversaries. Their minds should be clear to plan national development while the public stands firm in defense of the state. Like he pointed out, many of us in Africa are like that. We are in the black skin, yet we are white. That is not something we can say is not true. Majority of us, like Captain Ibrahim Travel, asks us why we love these people, yet do not love ourselves. Black people, majority of the population are wearing black skin, yet we are white inside. And that is why we can do anything in any way possible just to make sure we please them. That is why we will also do everything possible to sing their songs against the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. You can have the same African that is singing about oppression, condemning what they do, but will speak against the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. We talk about unity. Unity is the most important thing, and we can never get anywhere if the African is never ready to unite. Like what happened when they told them, if you touch Niger, you have touched all of us, and they declared war. What happened? So if all Africans can come together united, telling the world, if you touch one African country, you have touched all of us, by now Africa would have been a better place for all of us. But we are still seeing what is happening like day in, day out, the things the leaders always say, the countries they are pointing fingers at, helping other people to destabilize them. This has been the reason the African is not moving forward. Dependency has been the problem of Africa, and we continue to depend on other people because they sang that songs to us. And the people we are depending on are also singing freedom from the United States of America. We saw what happened in the UN Security Council just a few days ago between the United States of America and France, where France is standing up and France is calling for independence. We heard even Macron himself talking about how Europeans must be free to decide what they want to do instead of depending on the United States of America. Yet they come into the continent and they tell the African, we cannot do it without them. We need them to be able to do this. And we also buy into it. We need to support our own. We need to defend our leaders, like he's calling all of us to do. The African needs to rise up and protect. That was why Bob Marley asked us, for how long shall we stand aloof and watch them take out our profits? We need to also play a role. The military men are in the heat. And what do? We don't just have to sit down and be listening to people believing that we cannot do anything. And when they say they have done this to them, we are also helping spreading everything. No matter the situation, we should know we are the only ones that can empower ourselves. And we need to defend and support the military in every little way that we can. We have a role. If they will win this war, it depends on you and I. So we all have a role to play in making Africa a better place. We don't just have to sit down and fold our arms. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.